if a girl came up to me and said,
I'm the small package, good things come in.
I'd be like, I want to talk to you.
That's so sexual.
Right. Oh, God.
Technically, a guy can say that, too.
Wow, yeah. Rob, what's wrong with you?
Did your mind not go there?
Welcome to Theoretical Nonsense, the Big Bang Theory watch-along podcast. No PhD required.
We're the podcast that recaps all the episodes of The Big Bang Theory. No spoilers.
So hop into your favorite spot.
Make yourself a grasshopper
And enjoy the ride.
Well, hello there, Ryan.
Hi, Rob.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
I'm doing great, too, because we're in the same room.
Yeah!
I finally made it my way back to Washington for a little trip, so we are recording this in the same room, and I finally get to meet Bella in person. That's what that panting is.
The panting.
I'm not that excited to see Ryan.
He is. He's lying. There's no dog in here.
Well, we are recapping the Terminator Decoupling. And for any new listeners out there, we are Theoretical Nonsense, the podcast that watches, recaps, and deep dives facts from the Big Bang Theory, which we call IQ points. I've seen the series multiple times, but this is Ryan's first time, so we try to do our best to do no spoilers. And Ryan has also been associated with being a Sheldon, so we keep a tally point on that.
Yeah, I've been told quite a few times, and I'm comparing points of how many times I associate with people who are not Sheldon versus how many times I associate with Sheldon. Right now, the whole series so far, 60 points, not associating like Sheldon, 58 like Sheldon. So we're pretty neck and neck, and it could go either way. We ended last season with me being a Sheldon, but we'll see how it goes here.
Nice. Well, I'm sure you're going to accumulate a few more points in this episode.
Yeah, it's, yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's get into a little bit of housekeeping. Follow the link in our show notes to all of our old IQ points and to our social media. We have an Instagram at Theoretical Nonsense Pod. Email us at theoreticalnonsensepod@gmail.com. And find us on YouTube. And also, we are doing a 5-star review giveaway. So if you give us 5-star review on Apple, you will be entered into a drawing for a $100 gift card to Amazon. So in order to actually do that, you need to give us a 5-star rating, write something in the text box, and email us your screen name, just so we know who you are and how to, if you win, to actually send you that gift card.
Which email address we're sending it to.
Yep, otherwise we're pocketing that.
It goes to the show.
Yep, straight back into the show. And we're currently at like 26 reviews right now. So 5 out of 5 still. So we're going strong. So we really appreciate it.
That's everyone. Better than my rate my professor score.
Oh. Do we want to know what that is? Well, we didn't get any new emails, but we did get another voice memo from Anna from Portugal again. So I will play that.
I haven't heard this one.
Hi, Rob. Thank you so much for your message. I'm really happy you responded, and I look forward to your shout-out on the episode. I was just thinking of the reason why I looked for a podcast about the Big Bang Theory, and it was because I'm listening to Office Ladies, the podcast about The Office, done by Jenna Fisher and Angela Kingsley. And I was just remembering how Ryan hasn't watched The Office. And that's
tisk.
But regardless, if he ever does, I recommend Office Ladies podcast. The only difference between their podcast and yours is they were on the series, they were on The Office, but they do a fantastic job as well as you do. So I truly recommend it both to Ryan and to you, Rob, if you haven't listened to it. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Anna. I actually am a huge fan of The Office, and I actually am listening to their podcast. I've been following them weekly for a while now, and they're actually one of the... I didn't model our podcast off of theirs, but
yes, you did, and you said, we're going to be them.
Well, I'm Jenna, and you're Angela. You have no idea what any of that means. But one of my favorite parts of their show is they actually do these little deep dives into just parts of the show and just random things that the episode's even about. And that kind of is one of the inspirations for this show. So I love The Office. I kind of bit off them a little bit.
That's cool. I need to watch that. It makes me like, what am I doing with my life? I hear that's like one of the great true love stories of our generation, and I have not seen it.
Have you seen any episodes?
I've seen bits and pieces, but I don't think I've ever seen a complete episode.
Well, maybe we'll change that tonight.
Okay, yeah. I think we can make that work.
Well, Ryan and I are also trying to take advantage of our time together in the same state. So not only are we in the same room to talk about the Terminator Decoupling, right after this, we're actually going to be recording our next episode where we're going to be doing something a little different. We'll be watching Season 2, Episode something.
18?
18, the work song Nano Cluster. Just as like not like a live stream, but we're just gonna play the episode, and Ryan and I are just gonna talk over it. I did my best. Actually didn't even watch it yet because
I haven't watched it.
I've seen it multiple times before, but as like a refresher, I didn't even watch it. So I'm gonna watch it pretty fresh.
I want this to be organic. You want to see my facial expressions, the oohs and the ahs.
Yep. So that'll be next episode. So look forward to that. Let us know how you like it. Did you like it? Did you want more of it? Did you hate it? Stick with the IQ points. Just let us know. All right. So no new neighbor update. No neighbor update until September. So let's just dive into the episode. How about that?
I think that's what we can do, yeah.
Yeah. So overall thoughts of this episode? The Terminator Decoupling.
I loved it.
This was great.
I love this one. Yes. Everybody was doing something that was just a fantastic part. And, guest star as well. So, it's on a train. I love episodes where they go places. Even stupid ones where, like, Full House where they go to Hawaii for an episode. I love that. I don't know why. So, yeah.
Well, we didn't actually see them in San Francisco, though. It was just kind of just on location.
It's
kind of nice.
Train, but yeah.
It's not on their couch.
Yeah, it got them out of the apartment.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like this episode. I knew you'd like it because you like trains, and we kind of talked about this before.
Mm-hmm.
A couple episodes ago, I bought the Polar Express.
Oh.
And I read it in preparation for this because it's about trains, and I had never read that book before.
Had you seen the movie?
No.
Just read the book.
I knew what it was. I think I knew it was a book.
It was something. It was a story.
Sorry, everyone, not into trains. So sorry to all you train enthusiasts out there, but not into
Polar Express didn't change your mind?
No.
Oh, no.
Sorry, but it didn't.
Sad.
My son enjoyed it, though, but he's only 9 months old, so what does he know?
He has taste, Rob. Taste.
But yeah, that book really, it was a good book. It's definitely very, I'll definitely be revisiting it every holiday. It did make me feel very sad at the end, though.
It was supposed to be very nostalgic,
yeah,
right?
It's like, as an adult reading it, and you kind of know exactly what the meaning of the book is, it just left me very empty and sad on the inside. So I was like...
And that's life.
And you grow up and you lose that magic.
And I have to say, I like the book more than the movie. The movie, it's partially CGI, was just not... It's still not quite there with the uncanny valley and whatnot. So the characters are kind of stiff moving a little bit. It looks pretty. There are some beautiful shots, but it was also where companies were double downing on 3D movies. And so there's scenes where you're like, there's no point to this unless you're watching in 3D, and it's kind of like a mock roller coaster.
Didn't it come out around that time when like everything was just becoming 3D?
Yep. Yeah. And I have a 3D version, and I don't care for 3D movies.
And you have your own glasses too?
Yeah.
Do you have to wear them over yours?
Yes, it sucks. That's probably part of the reason I hate 3D movies. But yeah, actually,
that's why it's good that it died.
This TV is 3D. These are the glasses.
Ah, well, hello. For anybody on YouTube, you could actually see what these look like.
And there's like apparently two types of 3D TVs. One that use those, and ones that like they use switches or something. And they like move. It's weird. Mm-hmm. Those are a lot more expensive. But you can see putting these on top of mine, like, this is just uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it looks weird because it's like, ooh.
Yeah, it's not going to be a comfortable viewing experience.
So anyways, the book this is a case where the book's better than the movie. Even if it is a little kid's book.
Yeah. All right. Into the episode. I have in my notes that you're leading this one?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I hope I can do it justice.
Let's hope so.
So, Season 2, Episode 17, The Terminator Decoupling. This aired March 9th, 2009. Writers Chuck Lorre, Bill Prady, and Tim Doyle. And the director, Mark Sandrowski. And Tim Doyle's done a couple other ones that I believe we've liked pretty well. So, I've noticed his name. So, we start off with the apartment. And the gang is working on a TiVo. Apparently they need a larger hard drive because they will not have enough room on the hard drive to record stuff while they're gone on this trip to San Francisco, right?
Yep.
All right.
Remember TiVo, anyone?
I never had it.
I had one when I lived with my brother. And I've accidentally deleted some of his stuff before.
Did he notice?
Oh yeah, he was like,
oh no.
He was like, hey, where was this show? Did something happen to the show? I was like, oh.
There's this show called You're the Worst a few years ago. Have you ever heard of it?
I've heard of it.
And there's a scene where there's like a band, music group who are fighting with each other. And they talk about, it's Netflix, not TiVo, but they get pissed off at each other. And one of them deletes everything on Netflix, his Netflix My List. And he goes, the only thing I remember is Peaky fucking Blinders. But yeah, so TiVo, if you don't know, was a unit that would record cable for you. And you could like omit like commercials too,
you could
right?
just bloop, bloop,
yeah.
skip.
I don't know where I was around that time, but I don't think I had cable at the time. I think I was moving between college, then I went to Japan, and I was still kind of using VCRs, and then Netflix came in the scene.
Yeah, it was really big before streaming turned into like a really big thing. I remember I had the Netflix like DVD.
Yeah, you could do like 1, 2, or 3 per time. Yeah, and they had like a good list. I even kept with that for a while after streaming started.
Yeah, because streaming wasn't that great. They only had like a few things on there.
Yep, and they were usually like B movies where like, who are these people? Like,
and the Netflix originals, nobody had faith in Netflix originals at that point. But then House of Cards came out and changed everything.
Everything's brighter future.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sheldon doesn't want to open it because he's afraid of voiding the warranty. And I get a point right away for being like Sheldon. Because I believe I used to think that those... it's kind of like cutting the tag off your mattress. Is it illegal to do so? It's not if you own it. And so if it's yours, it's not illegal to break the warranty sticker. But I feel weird about it. And even after... Like, my friends were like...
So your tag's still on your bed?
Yeah, yes. Yes.
I'll have to take a picture of that.
It should be, unless somebody else cut it off. But, you know, and it's the same thing with, like, keeping things in packages. I'm like, well, if you take it out of the package, it's going to lose value. And so I have a bunch of toys that are still in packages, but then again, I want to play with them. And so it's like, if I play with them, like, I'm not going to resell them ever.
Well, that's why you got to be like the shoe collectors. You buy one pair, you wear them, and then the other one stays in the box.
Exactly. Yeah. That's Final Fantasy VII action figures.
Yeah.
I got one set to play with and one set in the box. But even after like the warranty expires, I still feel weird opening it up when I'm like modding a system. I'm like,
what do I do?
This is internal conflict. So we finally get to the point where they say you can put in the new hard drive, or we can delete the first season of Battlestar Galactica. And he just rips it right off.
They're outlaws now.
They're outlaws now. I like that line. We're outlaws now. And that's the feeling, too, when you rip it off. Or at least for me, it's like...
I did something bad.
I've broken the law. And Penny enters with a pink suitcase. And everybody gives him a little hard time about that.
Yeah.
And he says it's just for his notebooks. And I thought that was kind of interesting that he's going to bring that many notebooks.
Yeah, I was a little confused about that too. If they're just going to like a symposium and a convention, it's like, why do you need that many notebooks?
especially with
unless he's like handing some stuff out, but
that could
you
be.
think that he just printed off there.
Yeah, which is what Sheldon ends up doing. He has the thumb drive, which becomes the heart of the episode. All right, so it comes out that they're going to the San Francisco symposium in San Francisco. And my first IQ point is a quick rundown of the 3 things they say will be happening there. Did you look into these at all?
I didn't look into any of it.
Any of it? It's all pretty much above my head, and I could get this wrong, but I figure a quick look at all 3 could be 1 IQ point. All 3 combined.
Let's go with that.
All right, so they start off with, they will be talking about biogenetic cellular computer devices. And when I Googled this, I got the notion of organic computers, basically living computers trying to make computers out of cells, and some information kind of wonky here and there, but from Richard Van Hodonk, I believe is how you pronounce it, who is a writer and basically a writer on future tech. He has a really interesting blog, well thought out, and a few other websites too say that this is actually called wetware. And that sounds weird to me, but wetware is organic computers, and basically taking cells, and I think we talked about the CRISPR genetic altering machine or whatever earlier, using that to splice genetics and make cells into computers to work for us. And apparently it's a thing that people are working on prototypes of, and there's some prototypes that exist, but it's years and years away from actually working. But apparently
like, this is back in 2009. You'd think that they'd have a lot more headway on that right now. I have not heard of this at all.
You would think so, yeah. But, you never know with messing around with genetics and...
Yeah.
Or
they're just working on... Or they pivoted to VR technology.
That too. And, I think part of it is it becomes what can we do? How small can we get with silicon and actual wiring? Versus cells that are like microscopic level. Like, can we do microscopics with silicon, or should we invest in this new future that is smaller? And I don't know if it's as adequate. I think that there's future problems. They said that they're using viruses with it to program cells or something, and I'm like, well, couldn't you like literally use a virus to corrupt somebody's computer at that point?
I know. It's I got the flu. I'm literally going to put it through the internet right now.
I just gave the internet the flu. All right, so that was the first one. Second one, advancements in multi-thread task completion. And according to techtarget.com and upwork.com, this is basically the notion of, with computers, programming apps to do multiple tasks at once in different ways. And a few things I came up with was, you could have a processor that has multiple cores, and each core handles one task at a time. But there's ways to actually have one core do multiple parts of different tasks at once. And the notion is that making a program that does different pieces at once is quite complex and can be more time-consuming, more, sloppier code, worse code, that causes the program to be even slower than if it just did everything one task at a time. But apparently, with the right coding, you can get, different bits and pieces done at different times, and the analogy that was used online is baking a cake. If there's 3 layers, you could have, different parts of the cake cooking at different times, and then put them all together to save some time. So apparently that's all about, the advancements with coding sophisticatedly and adequately to make something that's effective with that. And then the nonequilibrium grains function approach, the photocation process of atoms. I really didn't get much on this one, except Paulson at arvix.org. I loved it. There was an article by him, Paulson, that said basically this non-equilibrium grains function approach for dummies. And I read it, it still made absolutely no sense. I'm like, wow, I'm worse than a dummy.
We're dumber than a dummy.
Exactly. I'm like, wow. Okay, so, but what I got is that this function is used to calculate the current and charge densities of nanoscale conductors. So anything that is like nano in function or nano in size that conducts charges, trying to understand the current and the charge densities. How much are they charged, to what extent, what their currents are. But again, that was pretty over my head, and it's getting into some math and sciences that are getting into molecular nanophysics, I guess. So,
well beyond us.
Yep. And then that's my English talking. Those were the points that were made, and then Penny says, "Wow, I usually just get hammered and ride the cable cars."
Yeah,
I like her approach. Yeah. And then they bring up George Smoot, and my second IQ point was to talk about him a little bit. Did you?
I did a little bit, but I didn't do it as an IQ points. I just did like, well, who is he? But first off, I do love Penny's like little sass and banter with them.
Yeah.
The George Smoot. Oh my god, do you know him? No, of course not.
It's a funny name though.
Smoot. Well, George Smoot, according to Wikipedia, is an American astrophysicist and cosmologist. He's a Nobel Prize winner and the second contestant to win the $1 million prize on Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? He won his Nobel Prize in Physics in 2006 for his work on the Cosmic Background Explorer with John C. Mather that led to the discovery of the black body form and anisotropy of the cosmic microwave background radiation. So I didn't even bother looking into that.
I tried and kind of gave up. It's kind of my thought is that there's radiation in the universe, even in the vacuum, and trying to understand where that radiation is coming from and how it changes forms and just changes as it moves, I guess. And yeah, it changes forms. But I like that apparently the study, and the quote I have is, helped further the Big Bang Theory. And I'm like, I
see what you did there.
So yeah, that's about all the notes I got on that too. So
yeah,
it counts to me.
I guess it's just helpful knowing that he is a real person.
He's a real person.
Yep.
And yeah, Sheldon says talking to Penny is like talking to a chimp. And this is gonna be funny because he does need her later in the episode.
Yep.
So
he's gonna need that chimp.
Yeah, he's gonna need that chimp. And she goes, so you're gonna fly? And they're like, no, we're taking the train, because apparently they voted, and 3 voted for plane, and Sheldon voted for the train, so they're taking the train.
Sounds about right in their friend group.
And then Sheldon says, I laughed out loud at this line, and goes, don't say it, we're taking the train. Say it, we're taking the train.
Well, at this point, I did a little bit of research on the train. I don't know I wasn't sure if you want to insert it now or later, or did you do anything on the Coast Starlight?
I did later.
Okay.
But do you want to do it now? Did they mention it now? Because I didn't.
Well, it got me wondering because Howard's complaint says that it's 7 times as long as flying and costs almost twice as much. So it started off as a deep dive into that. How is he just saying that? Or is it actually true? Is it actually 7 times longer and twice as much?
I say we go for it now. Let's just get it out of the way.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Coast Starlight. And then later on in the episode, they actually do say it's 11 hours.
11 hours.
Yeah, because when Howard sees Summer, he's like, I have 11 hours with a Terminator.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah.
But it turns out she gets off earlier.
Much earlier.
Yeah,
that assumed that she would be on just as long as them. Well, let's talk Coast Starlight.
Train talk.
Train talk.
Choo-choo!
Well, the Coast Starlight is still around. It's an Amtrak that goes from Seattle to Portland to Sacramento to Los Angeles. A whole trip is approximately 35 hours. So they're in Pasadena, California. So either they had to start in LA or Burbank, but I'm guessing it's LA. Since it's ever so slightly closer. I mapped it out and it was ever so slightly, so I'm guessing that they started in LA.
And that would make their trip to San Francisco longer too.
Ever so slightly, yeah. But that would be 8 stops. So if you depart LA at 9:51 a.m., and I say that because I looked into the schedule, that's when all the schedules start, 9:51, you would arrive in Oakland at around 9:06. And Oakland is just outside of San Francisco. It's maybe like a 20-minute drive, something like that. So, yeah, it's about 11 hours. So the riders are actually very accurate. So then after that, I had to look into the cost. I could not find a ton of information while navigating their website. I tried to just go through booking, but I really honestly could not figure it out. Because I would actually click book, and then I would enter in my destinations, but it would just be for a normal Amtrak.
Yeah.
But I wanted specifically the Coast Starlight. So I actually had to get a whole, chat with an agent.
Really?
Yeah, and I told them specifically, it's like, I'm trying to book the Coast Starlight from this destination, from this to here. Please give me a quote.
I found a website, so I'm curious if my website was accurate or if I got, a garbage website.
Was it just the Amtrak website?
That's what it's... AmtrakGuide.com.
But I couldn't fit... I guess I'm dumber than a dummy. There's no Amtrak for dummies.
Oh, no.
But yeah, I kept hitting okay, book. And then where would you like to go? LA to Burbank. And because I found the map.
Yeah.
Totally fine. That was fine. And seeing all the stops and everything, I found that. But then when I was trying to book it all, I was like, why aren't you just putting me on the Coast Starlight? What the hell? But it got me a lot of quotes. So talking to an agent was actually very helpful. So if you're listening out there, thank you very much. You were very helpful. Well, first, I got multiple quotes for 4 adults from LA to Oakland round trip. They gave me 3 options. There's the bedroom, and then there's a roomette, and then there's coach. So we'll talk coach first since that's what they took. Coach would be about $1,056 or $264 per person. And compared to an airplane that only takes 1.5 hours, costs $150 or even less. So the writing is actually very accurate when they said the 7 times longer and half the cost.
Wow.
Yeah. So accurate writing. And side note, I looked into driving. If you just wanted to drive there, since Leonard does own a car, it would be a 6-hour trip. And now, if you wanted to do the first upgrade in the Coast Starlight, the first upgrade would be to a roomette. So 2 roomettes, since each roomette only holds 2 people, would be $1,508 or $377 per person. So these are 2-seaters, and the area can transform into upper and lower beds. There's also access to a restroom and a shower in the car. So not in your private room, just within the car. And then there is a dedicated first-class attendant, and priority boarding, lounge access, and complimentary meals. Then the last upgrade is one of the more expensive ones. It's for a full bedroom. So they would need 2 of them because there's 4 and then they fit 2 people. A 2-bedroom would be $2,564 or $641 per person. But it is twice the space as a roomette, and there's a sofa and separate chair by day that transforms into upper and lower beds at night. And you have your own personal sink, restroom, and shower. And same thing as the roomette, there's a dedicated first-class attendant, priority boarding, lounge access, and complimentary meals. And I took a look at the menu since I'm really into food.
I looked at pictures, but I didn't look at the actual menu.
I took a look at the menu. Maybe we'll just do a quick rundown.
Yeah, I want to know. But from what I was seeing, these are pretty quality meals. They are not McDonald's hamburgers.
No, they look really nice too. But honestly, for $641 for an 11-hour trip, it better be good.
Yeah, that's true.
So, if this is your first time listening, I love food and I will do anything I can to turn this into a food podcast. That's why we're going into the menu. But so they just have their normal breakfast, continental breakfast, signature French toast, omelets and stuff like that, salads, But then they also have a 3-course dinner menu. So, first course, you could choose between caprese skewers, coconut-crusted shrimp, mixed green salad with baby brie. I'd probably choose that one because I like baby brie. And then your choice of entrees, there is the flat iron steak, pan-roasted chicken breast, Atlantic salmon, or rigatoni bolognese. I'd probably just go with the steak.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. It's a more expensive one, so it's like you want to get your money's
worth.
worth.
Yeah, I'm going to make my money's worth.
And final course is dessert. You have your choice between a chocolate toffee mousse, white chocolate blueberry cobbler cheesecake, or the ultimate Meyer lemon cake.
I think that one's going to be on my mood, but that leaves me wanting. I don't know why.
So, chocolate toffee mousse, white chocolate blueberry cobbler cheesecake, or Meyer lemon cake. I think I'd go... If it's daytime, I think I'd go with the lemon cake. If it's nighttime, I'd probably go with the mousse.
I'm leaning towards mousse. The cheesecake's got my attention, but the thing is, with cheesecake, like, I have 2 bites and I love it. I have that 3rd bite and it's like, that's too much sweetness for me. Like, I don't know why cheesecake is just, like, too creamy and sweet that I love it for the first 2 bites, and that 3rd one is like, no more.
So what you're telling us is there is too much of a good thing.
There is. When it's cheesy.
And cakey.
And cakey. And cheesy cakey.
But that's what I had on the Coast Starlight.
So I'm perplexed because I had very similar numbers, except this, I really thought I was looking at something that was for the whole 35-hour ride from LA to Seattle, Seattle to LA. And I got $100 to $150 for a coach seat.
Per person.
Per person.
Okay.
That's all per person. $150 to $200 for business. About $700 per person for a roomette. And again, that's with the meals. And then I, there's actually 3 different ones, but I only got 2. I got $1,300 per person for the family bedroom and $1,600 for the bedroom. And then apparently there's a bedroom suite. And I actually spent my time... It's been a good 30 minutes, over 30 minutes, watching YouTube videos of people exploring their cabins. And my understanding was the bedroom suite was more like 2 bedrooms put together.
Okay, so they could have done that and shared, connected their space.
Yeah. And from the looks of it, it was literally like a mirror image of, on this side we have a bedroom, on this side we have the same exact bedroom reflected. And then some people will get that because they sit in one area and then have beds in the other area. But technically, both sides can set up to be seats or beds.
Okay.
And the shower area, a few things I looked from in these YouTube videos. The shower area is literally just the toilet area with a hand spigot to rinse off while you're on the toilet. And then there's a little sink. But the room, this is the one that gets interesting, is the toilet, it's not segregated. It's right next to one of the seats. And you have to lift up the top and just go right there. And the guy's like, this would be kind of weird if I was traveling with somebody else.
Yeah, it's almost like a prison cell at this point.
Exactly. And then you put that down, and the sink folds out too. And you do the sink, and apparently the water builds up, and when you close it, it goes down a drain in the back. And then when you close them up, they double as steps to get up to the second bunk if you have 2 people. I can also say with the roomette, it looks like you have about as much leg room as you do on an airplane, but you're facing somebody. So it's like your knees are literally touching somebody's from the look of it. But they have like a table that pulls down with like a chess set or a checkers table, I guess. But the actual rooms look kind of nice. And the thing is, and this is where it gets kind of weird, is there are areas for you to go to and hang out. And if you're in coach, you can also go to these areas. In fact, usually the coach seats, from what I was seeing, aren't necessarily facing each other. You can go to other areas that have tables and play board games, read, and have more space. public restrooms. I believe one of them had a public shower somewhere.
So it makes you wonder why even get a room.
Yeah, that's a big part of it, is that it's nice because you're sleeping, but if you plan on voyaging out and going to the bar and going out to dinner and whatnot, you're only probably spending, 5-6 hours in the room, right?
And you'll be asleep the entire time.
Yeah. And, if it's business and you have to get some sleep, or you're really, really picky. But, again, these seats, I believe the seats even in coach, have more room than airplanes. So, it's, I don't know, for $150, if that were truly how much it is to go from Seattle to LA on train for 35 hours, that's probably worth it. I don't know about the room, though. That's kind of expensive, but the thing is, you see it more as a vacation and kind of an activity. And as far as excursions go, like if you do a day trip, I'd say it's pretty hard pressed to go under $300 a person to do a day trip with a meal and go on rafting or sightseeing.
You gotta really like trains to want to do this.
And I love them, and I like how
you?
I would. I could do this for a vacation.
I'd take the plane.
You'd take the plane?
I'm sorry, but I'd probably ditch you to go to the plane.
But
I'll see you in San Francisco.
But I would see the train as the adventure. Like, I'm doing it for the train ride, not to get to the place. Like,
for me, it's more about getting to the place for the food. So it's like all that time you could have spent in the destination, I could have gone to like 2 or 3 restaurants already.
But you could see the outdoors, and technically the train has a restaurant. It looks like good food. I'm going to have to try it.
Well, depending on what side of the train you're on, it could be a good view.
That's true.
Costco's and Jiffy Lubes.
Versus sightseeing the coast and beautiful, panoramic views. So I'm curious how much it actually costs, because
that some of those quotes do sound like it was like the whole duration.
Yeah.
I feel like mine was pretty accurate for the LA to Burbank, because I specifically did ask an agent. So I'm guessing.
You would think, and I can't see them doing like, well, no matter where you get off, you pay the same price.
That
like,
would be
what
insane.
The fuck?
Yeah.
But I would say that I don't think it's necessarily half the time, because when you include actually getting to the airport, how much it costs to park your car, how much time it takes to wait in line for security, how much time you have to wait for your plane, if it's
not really,
and when I was in Nebraska, it's like I lived about 4 hours away from the closest actual airport, and so it's like driving 4 hours to get there, and then making sure I'm 2 to 3 hours before the plane actually takes off to get through security. Even in Seattle, it takes like an hour and a half, 2 hours to get to the airport, and then I always plan about 3 hours to get through security.
Do you have TSA pre-check?
No.
You should get the TSA. Okay, here's something, everyone. Here's a little hint for everyone. Do TSA pre-check. Even if you don't travel a lot, it lasts 5 years. It's only like $120 or something like that. And then you go through the pre-check, so you don't even have to take out your laptop or anything like that. You don't even have to take off your shoes. Like, you could just walk right through. It's great. And nobody, like, probably only 20% of travelers actually use pre-check. So that line is so fast. Granted, I still have not gone through the Seattle TSA pre-check. I will on Monday. So I'll let you know how that goes. But you just swoop through. And shameless plug on Chase, even though they're not sponsoring us. If you do the Chase, if you have a Chase Sapphire card, it actually comes with the Priority Pass.
Oh.
So that gives you lounge access to airports. So if you get there too early, you just go to the lounge and get yourself a cocktail.
I'm okay with that. I really like the lounges and getting there a little early and just like
unwinding. Yeah, I like doing that because I get a little paranoid with going through security. And I'd rather get there early and just hang out at the lounge just to make sure I hit my flight on time. Well, that was the Coast Starlight. Anything else on that?
I just think we need to take a trip on it. Can I convince you?
Well, people do rave about Seattle to Portland.
Right?
Just like, it's an easy trip to Portland and go there, hang out for like a little bit, then take the train back.
It's so much less stress than dealing with security.
Well, I would never fly to Portland, though, I guess.
done it before. Well, no, okay, I would never fly from Seattle to Portland.
Yeah.
But from Boeing to Portland, Everett.
Oh, okay.
Because that's like right across the interstate, and that's a nice airport. What's it called? I want to say called Boeing Field or something, but it's basically because Boeing needed an airport to get their planes out because they make a plane and it flies out. The landing strip and airport was like an official airport, and so Everett's like, we're gonna make this an actual airport so we can go to it now.
Nice.
And it's like really like you're like high class living when you're in it. It's so I would do that again, but man, trains are, I love it, and I agree with Sheldon later. I'm not gonna give him a point, but the sound of the wheels are
music.
Yeah, he gets frustrated with it. So apparently everywhere they where are we?
We're Sheldon's bedroom.
Oh, Sheldon's bedroom. Yeah, I skipped that part. I like this. Leonard says they're gonna go make fun of the people, the guys at the Genius Bar, right? And Sheldon says he's busy simplifying his packing by putting on scanners of everything he's packing.
Yeah.
And so he puts on a scanner and types in his computer, Argyle socks, 1 pair.
Yeah. Which would really, he says it's going to take him about 3 more hours to do. So it's like, dude, you're going on like a weekend trip,
right?
I know. I feel like I do that all the time in my quest to be more efficient just in life. I find ways to be less efficient.
Right, and organized. It's like, I could do this so much better. Like right now I have a list of books in my libraries because I have a habit of repurchasing books and movies that I've already purchased. Like, I'm like, oh, this looks good. And
you forget?
Yeah, I forget. And I've made a list. I don't know how to alphabetize a list, so I can't I look through it and I still miss it every, like, whatever I'm buying. I'm like, I don't know if it's on there or not. So
I've actually done stuff like that where I had like all my Blu-rays and DVDs all like, rather than alphabetizing them, I just left them as is. But then I created an Excel spreadsheet where I just typed it all out. That's slot 1, that's slot 2, and so on. And then I just sorted it alphabetically. So it's like, then it's like, okay, if I want, I don't know, Mission Impossible 2 or something like that, it's like, okay, it's in slot 48.
It's somewhere in there. And like, it's partially that my partner has helped me with this list. In fact, she did the majority of it. I don't know what program she's using, but both of our books are combined, and she's like, I have no way of alphabetizing this, and like I have access to the list, but I don't know why when I pull it up on my phone it won't let me. Like, I know Excel and numbers will let you alphabetize, this doesn't. I don't know what she's wearing. I have no idea. It's like,
who doesn't use like
maybe she made her own program. I'm confused. But anyways, it was well, now also it's like a year old, so
you gotta update it.
Yeah, I gotta update it, and I don't remember which books were in there and which weren't, and I don't know. I'll have to show you the library after this. Yes. It'll make more sense. Okay, so apparently this is supposed to help, but Leonard says that making fun of the guys at the Genius Bar would be redundant now. Sheldon doesn't get the joke, and starts entering the socks. So now they are on the train.
Yep, we made it to the train.
And Sheldon stops them from putting the luggage up. So like, what are you doing? And they're like, I don't know, but I guess we're doing it wrong. And they shift sides, and he's like, you're doing it wrong again. You're on the wheelbase. And this is where he mentions that on one side, you're going to have the views, the great coast, the magnificent nature that is California's coastline, and that you can only get to by traveling on train. Like, you can't even see it unless you're like, I guess you could walk. On the other side, you can have Costco's and cinder block homes. And so that's why he's... And I'm not giving a point for this. I have other points, but I agree with him. You sit on the good side.
Yeah, definitely.
This train. Although I didn't really understand the wheelbase thing. If it's too noisy or...
I think that's what it was. Because they chose another spot where they're just above the wheelbase. So then it might just be too loud. It's like he likes that sound, but he doesn't want that to be like the primary sound.
I thought
it used to be an ambient sound.
I was wondering, I guess trains are different, but I'm thinking like buses where like when you're over the wheel, like your legs are up like this. So yeah, Sheldon says the sound's going to make them feel better. And Leonard says if they were on the plane, they would already be landing.
Yeah.
But I doubt that, just because security is such a... Although...
Especially if they're flying out of LAX.
Right? That's got to be... Although I think
he was just being snarky. Like
Seattle's the worst security I've ever been through.
Yeah.
You know, I've been through bad securities before, but Seattle is... I'm trying to think, like, Dallas has been fine. I've been through LA. I've been through, New York and JFK. And Seattle's the only one where even 2 hours before the flight, I might miss it because of security.
Jeez.
It's
yeah, thanks for
heads up.
Good to know, since my wife is notoriously always late and likes to like dance on the edge of being late and on time. So yeah, that's another reason why we're dropping off the car off tomorrow instead, because it's like I don't want to deal with like taking the shuttle and everything and packing up all the Hunter's things and everything in the shuttle and like I just don't want it. I just want to like get dropped off by my brother-in-law and just like, okay, we're here. Let's go through. Let's drop this stuff off and go.
I did miss a flight one time, but it wasn't because of security. It was because of traffic, and it was in Pittsburgh.
Really?
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, it's not... How long ago was that? Because it's really not that bad.
The airport was fine. It was traffic getting to the airport.
Oh, like the 376?
I don't remember. It was coming from Penn State.
Okay. Yeah, that's like the opposite direction.
Yeah. But anything in...
It might be 376.
Pittsburgh traffic is...
It can be pretty tough. But yeah, the airport's super smooth. Like they're actually in the middle of renovating it right now. And it's going to look really nice. It's already a pretty nice airport. And I will say with TSA PreCheck, like the longest I've ever been through security has been like 15 minutes. It's crazy.
Pittsburgh security, like even if the lines look long, I get through pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's just set up more smoothly. Dallas is set up where there's like multiple airports with multiple security terminals, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? And so the longest I've ever waited at Dallas, like 20 minutes, non-TSA, because...
Dallas, oh man. I did my layover to Mexico in the Dallas airport. Mm-hmm. It's like a mall.
Yeah.
It's like, man, you could do your shopping there. You can get some lunch. You could just like do some more shopping. It was like insane how big it is.
And that's part of the fun of the airport. You know, it's stressful, but if you plan out enough time, you just... Like, that's part of the adventure. Is like, what the hell's here? I don't know. It could be fun.
Yeah. I do look forward to checking out the SeaTac lounge. I do like the lounges.
I was in one of those, and they have a machine that makes pancakes for you.
Oh.
You push a button, it's like, and like, conveyor belt.
Okay, that's way better than the Pittsburgh one already. The Dallas one was actually pretty bad, where it felt like I was in a high school cafeteria.
Oh god.
There was another lounge, but it was like closed. They because I did have access to another lounge, but they were closing it off for like for specific members.
Yeah,
they're like no priority pass right now.
I just imagine there's a lunch
so
lady
much
who's
nicer
like,
too.
Green beans and potatoes.
Here's your sloppy joes.
Sloppy. I like it.
You like them? I know you like them sloppy.
Okay, so Raj says, at least the trains have plumbing, and mentions that in India, they just squat over a hole and go right out to the bottom of the train. And Sheldon says, you are referring to the third class of India, I'm going to mispronounce these, Railways Ranakpur Express. And I did a little bit more. I think this should probably be included with the train IQ points. But... From my understanding, this is a real train, and I went off board on watching the train videos. I kept watching with the trains in India, and they are packed more than the Starlight Coast Express. They are and I didn't completely understand something about if somebody had the seats, they would have to move. There were some explanations, but it did seem packed. It didn't seem as bad as my trip in Romania. That train was terrifying. But
You'll have to elaborate on that later.
I thought I told you that one, but yeah. Yeah, I can talk about that. So I did find a YouTube video of the bathroom, and it's I feel like it's, what's the word, misnomer? Erroneous. It's not entirely correct to say it's a hole in the floor, because a hole in the floor makes it seem like if you look down, you see the ground going. But
is this a recent YouTube video?
Yes, like 3 years ago, I think.
Okay, so I actually did some research on this.
Oh, you did too?
Yeah.
I'm curious, but from what I saw, there is like a stainless steel basin in the floor, and in several countries, that's a typical bathroom. When I was in Japan, there would be bathrooms with, and like the thing is, people are like, oh, there are holes in the floor. There's a hole in the floor, but it's plumbing. It's a porcelain hole that you squat over and go to the bathroom in. And there's some theories that this helps your digestive system to squat. But if you like to read on the shitter, your legs will go numb pretty quickly. And then it
maybe it's encouraging people to move faster.
Exactly. Get out of there. Get off your iPad, right?
Stop playing Candy Crush and get the fuck out of here.
But yeah, I saw that, and it did look like it was just a squatty potty. But from what I could see, there was some rationale behind what Sheldon was saying. So, What'd you get?
So I found that I was wondering if this was still the case, because I remember watching this episode like so long ago. It's like, oh, that's so interesting. I wonder if that's really, one, is it true, and two, is it still happening now?
Yeah.
So I found this on globalcitizen.com. This was an article back in 2016, and apparently this was the case back then. So back when when they were talking about it in 2009, this was actually still the case in India. They actually did squat into a hole outside, and that led outside of the train onto the tracks.
I'm curious, this might have gone onto the tracks, but it's still like, it is a toilet in the floor, at least this one, and I'm curious if it was ever, like, I'm imagining somebody just took like a buzzsaw and like cut out a hole.
That I don't know. That I didn't look up pictures, but it is a hole in the train, and it does lead directly onto the tracks.
Yeah.
So many trains in India back then did not have bathrooms installed, so the passengers did have to use a hole. And that actually led to a lot of waste on the tracks, which is not only unhygienic for the passengers, but a potential hazard to water supplies near the tracks.
Yeah.
And this untreated fecal matter not only infects public water supplies, but it can cause tracks to erode more quickly.
Oh, yeah.
And to combat this, the railways would hire third parties to clear the tracks. But all that would do is shift their problem. Like, literally they're just shoveling it off and putting it someplace else.
Shoveling
just
shit.
So it's not on the track.
Literally.
Yeah, they're just shoveling shit. However, as of 2016, 2 new waste management plants were opened to take that waste and turn it into energy. And there's a large-scale effort to install bio-toilets on all trains by 2019.
Ooh.
A biotoilet will start breaking down waste matter immediately using its own bacteria to turn it into compost, as opposed to having a tank installed on the train that would just be emptied out. Well, to follow up on the progress of this, I found an article in the financialexpress.com and the Times of India to confirm that these biotoilets have been installed in many coaches on Indian railways. So now they don't have to squat and poop out of a hole.
But it might still be a hole that you squat on.
Correct.
It just doesn't go on the tracks.
Doesn't go into the tracks. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah. But yeah, like, very interesting. But like you said, it was like a lot of trains worldwide just kind of had a system like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because I mean,
There's
when
so
trains...
many people, and like, we don't want to install a bathroom because it's another.
Well, when trains first started, indoor plumbing wasn't really a thing, right?
Yeah.
Like they were running when we still had like what are they called? Chamber pots under our beds and
That's true,
outhouses,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So yeah, maybe that's part of it. And I like too that Sheldon mentions that this is technically a pre-1980 Pullman-built Superliner Deluxe. So technically, other countries have these. Japan with their bullet trains are just wow.
Okay, I'd do that one.
Yeah, it's woo, and ours is like something from the 60s or 70s, and you can imagine now their trains are probably just as old, if not older, in other countries because why upgrade if they're still working, right?
Yeah.
But Japan, and I think bullet trains are in other countries too. I just know that I've ridden at least one or two in Japan, and in fact, yeah, that's going to come up, but I get a point for the exact sound effect Sheldon gets. Okay, so Summer Glau comes on board.
Yep, guest star alert.
Guest star. And if, I recognize her because I saw Serenity, I need to watch Firefly.
Dude, you've never watched...
I never watched Firefly.
It's one season of gold.
That's what I've heard. But there's no... Serenity's kind of an ending, but there's no ending?
I think there were plans to expand it to more movies. It just never happened.
And I've heard that it might still happen. Every now and then, there's a kind of something comes up online.
I'd be down. It's such a good, yeah, it failed because of the network.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just it couldn't find a consistent time. It was bouncing around all over the place. But then once it actually got canceled, people were like, dude, what the fuck? This was it's so good. It's
kind of like Futurama getting bounced around all the time and canceled and then picked up and bounced around and canceled and now it's up again.
And now it's back again, yeah. But yeah, if you get a chance, watch. Well, I would say prioritize The Office though.
Over
Anna,
Firefly.
This one's for you.
This is for you. Thank you for chiming in.
Yeah.
Priorities. And I also noticed that on IMDb, her first actual acting role was on Angel.
Yep. And the ballerina. I wrote that down. Yep.
Which is probably makes sense because Whedon did both Firefly and Angel and Buffy, right? So, and I know he was famous for meeting people and reworking them in other shows. So,
I feel like I would do that too. I feel like if I was ever a director or a writer, I'd be like Adam Sandler, where it's just I'm constantly just reusing my friends.
Yeah, because they work, they're gonna work. They're not gonna bring up any surprises or anything. Yeah. So you get Tim Burton and Johnny
a little
Depp.
Fun nod and everything. Now
that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nuts. Didn't the captain of Firefly, wasn't he the bad priest in Buffy?
Wait, he was? He was
I thought
he was in Buffy too?
I'm going to look this up.
Nathan Fillion?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was the bad priest in the last season. And he was really...
Nathan Fillion, I still remember the first time I saw him was actually in Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place. He was the love interest of the girl for a long time, yeah. It's funny, I still have a very vivid memory of a scene where they lose all their money and then he's reusing the dryer sheets. He's like, people think that you can only use this once. I still remember so vividly.
Caleb, Buffy the Vampire. He was in 5 episodes. He was I'll show you a picture. He talks to the original evil and it's like he's talking to himself and he's kind of a serial killer guy.
Oh, with hair like that, you're obviously a serial killer.
Right? It's like a bowl cut.
Yep.
I love it. But he did a good enough job that it got me wondering about who he was, and that's how I learned about him.
But yeah, watch prioritize Office, then go into
we can do Firefly.
But then again, Firefly might be a quicker watch because it's only one season.
Maybe I can do back to back because if you watch the whole thing straight through, you forget stuff. So you got to mix it up. And,
that's true.
Yeah,
it's actually psychology right there.
Yeah,
you always remember the first and the last thing, so you got to break.
Do have PhDs. All right, so Leonard makes a joke that she's protecting John Connor, and Sheldon says that that's just a TV show. And I'm giving myself a point for being like Leonard here, because I make stupid jokes all the time. Never stop, really. Leonard
Makes for good podcasting.
making dumb. Yeah, I hope. Sheldon.
As a reminder, please give us a 5-star review. It helps the algorithm.
Uh-oh. I have to flip flop these.
Side question: how do you like numbers?
You know, I
Is it just something that you just got used to?
yeah. And same thing with pages. Both of them, I feel like, and this is going to sound stupid, I feel like they're more visually appealing and user friendly.
Really?
I do believe that Excel and Microsoft Word are stronger programs, more sophisticated, but these are very solid and do everything I need them to.
Are the formulas more or less the same, like that translate from Excel to this? Like if you want like sum, if you want to like
from what I've
things
noticed,
like that. And,
yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
cool.
And you know, I don't use a whole lot, but for classes and grades.
Is that what we call classes?
Classes.
I have classes today.
Classes. It's like Lassie. Come here, Classy. Is Tim in the drain?
Timmy fell down the well.
They bring up, or Sheldon brings up, that Terminators would be great as actors if they came back and pretended to be actors and then started terminating people.
Yeah, because then it's like that's like a little secret invasion. A little shout out to I've been watching the new Marvel show, Secret Invasion.
Yeah,
it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, that's all I'm going to say.
Fair enough. And then the train starts, and Sheldon says "we," and this is, man, if I could do 2 points for Sheldon.
Dude, it's your list.
All right, 2 points for Sheldon.
If it's that extreme.
Yes. In fact, I just made the sound effect, basically.
What? You forgot your flash drive. You forgot your flash drive.
On the bullet train, be like, wee! This is so much fun!
Oh, that one, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that wee sound is, you'll hear it if I'm driving, right, too.
I didn't hear you today. Or was it under your breath?
I've learned to keep it my wheeze to myself.
Hold on to your wee.
This is my wee. Wait, what? Okay, so they're going to be 11 hours confined space. Howard thinks he has a chance with Summer. And Sheldon asks, what about Leslie? And I think that's a great
call back to like the continuity of the story.
Yeah, and for all, concerns, him and Leslie are a quid pro quo relationship, right? They're in it for the sex and to just like help each other. Yeah.
It's like if I have this event and I need to save face and bring a date and everything, you're gonna need that date. Yeah.
And I'll help you with your science, like give you research funds or whatever,
yeah.
Right? So it's not, it might turn into something real, but right now it's not.
Yeah.
I don't feel like he should feel guilty for going to talk to Summer. And then they start having a debate over who should have the shot, Raj or Howard. And Howard says that he's pasty and frail and it never fails.
Yeah.
And then I like Leonard chimes in and he's like, what about me?
Yeah. And I love that they just like let him out, like, okay, go for it. Because they know he's going to chicken out.
Yeah. He goes, I have a blonde at home that I can't score with. Like, I'm already a failure.
Yeah.
So he gives up before he even can. And Raj runs away to get alcohol. And, they say that Howard should just go up and say hello. But he says, this always creeps girls out.
Yeah.
And,
poor Howard, you know nothing.
I feel like, no, I agree with him on this one.
You do? Say hello?
Yeah.
You'd rather do like a cheesy pickup line?
I feel like I need something prepared, because if I just say like, hello, what comes after that? I feel like a goddamn parrot. Like, hello. Like, whoa, this guy's weird.
Well, you always have to prepare a conversation. It's like,
maybe not a cheesy pickup line, but something to get the I need that.
You need
starter.
like a little hook.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
And then, like, if they actually engage in conversation, then, like, I still kind of freeze up. I wasn't expecting to respond. Like, oh,
my God, you didn't tell me to fuck off.
I have to go to the bathroom now.
I gotta go.
I gotta go. So, yeah, I don't know. But technically, he's right. And this comes...
I think guys just guys approaching girls in general will always just be a creep factor. Regardless, we're there right now.
That's
society.
A big part of it is that if a girl's alone and you have to approach her like that, it's going to be creepy. It has to be situation. It has to cause for it to go
organically.
Organically, and it's that's really confusing for me.
It is.
Like, if you don't make it happen, like how did I don't know.
That's why online dating.
Yeah. Which is awkward in itself.
And we did an IQ point in the previous episode.
Oh, yeah.
Have no idea which one, but...
It's someone there.
But you should check it out.
Watch them all again. Yeah. Okay, so, Sheldon realizes that he has to go back for his flash drive. He wanted to give a paper to Snoot. Smoot, yes, you're right. Man, I have Snoot down here. Snoot. And he imagines this is where Leonard's like, we're not going back. We'll figure something out. And he starts imagining the train saying, wheels talking to him. You forgot your flash drive. And I think that's a little hardcore for Sheldon.
Yeah.
But still.
The train is talking to him.
And trains are such loving, giving individuals that...
Are they?
Yes, they're wonderful. Have you ever read any of Stephen King's The Dark Tower series?
No, but I fell asleep during the movie.
Oh, really?
Oh my God. So this was...
Story time.
I fell asleep because this was when I was in a stage of... like... theater bouncing.
Yeah.
So if you time it right, you could just bounce from one theater to... So you... Hopefully I'm not going to get in trouble for this.
It didn't really happen. He's making this up.
I'm making the story up, so
joke.
I know somebody that has done this. I would never do this. But you buy one ticket, and then you just go to the theater, you watch your movie, and then you time it, so then you just walk out of the theater into another one. So I was on my third movie, and The Dark Tower was that third movie. And we all know I like to drink during the theater time.
So by movie 3...
Movie 3, I was done. I passed out.
It got such bad reviews, but I like this. If it had come out while I was a kid, which arguably I probably shouldn't have been watching it while I was a kid, but if it had come out when I was a kid, it probably would have been my favorite movie.
Because it is classified as a young adult, isn't it?
It's R, though.
Yeah.
But it's about a kid finding his way in the creepy world. Of course, the creepy world basically wants to strip him down and use his body as energy for a tower. So
you know what? That sounds like today's society too.
It's an analogy for the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the books go like the books are 7 books long, so the movie's a really, really condensed version.
Wait, so is the movie supposed to be all of them combined?
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Why would they do that?
I don't think they really knew how to handle it. It probably should have been like a miniseries.
Yeah.
And I think at that time, also getting miniseries started is kind of hard. But I think at that time, because it was like 2016, I think.
Yeah.
Miniseries are still kind of questionable, and I think right now we're seeing miniseries get stronger support than movies are. So it could still work out, and I've heard some discussion that it may or may not because it could be.
Well, they can redo anything. Like they're already redoing they're already talking about redoing Harry Potter. That's already in the works. They're redoing a Percy Jackson
Interview with the Vampire.
Yeah, so it's like it's not that much of assuming the strike ends.
Yeah,
at some point. But then it's like they could easily just transition it to.
That's what I'm thinking. It's a great story. I think Stephen King is very talkative at times in his books, and he could get to the point, but still a great writer. And I think a miniseries would still work really well. And planning on 7 to 9 seasons and working it out. But anyways, in book 3 or 4, I can't remember. There's a train And there's this notion that...
Do we need to say spoilers right now? Spoiler alert. If you haven't read The Dark Tower.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Because by all means, like, I'm pretty sure... Well, here's the thing. The big thing in Dark Tower is realities and dimensions kind of merge with each other. And other dimensions have influenced ours. We influence others. And Stephen King works with this a lot in all of his books. Even something like... what did I just get finished reading? Not Rose Red. Insomnia. Has some stuff from the Dark Tower in it because he like crosses references. But there's this train, and the train has influenced our world in a way to make a children's book. And the children's book has a train on it with like a smiley face, kind of like Thomas the Engine. But it keeps saying like, you know, the more you look at it, you realize that's a maniacal smile.
It's got the crazy eyes.
Yeah, it's got the crazy eyes. And the kids on board are crying out, but maybe not in happiness. Like maybe they're stuck on board.
Oh, no.
And so like I believe like an actual book has been made of this. And I'm gonna look this up to show you a picture.
Is it Crazy Train singing
Crazy
Butterfly?
Train. Charlie the Choo Choo. And so somebody's actually made like a kid's book out of it, but you can see that
Oh my.
it doubles over.
Yeah.
And I don't believe trains are inherently mean like that. I believe trains are loving individuals.
I still remember, did you ever watch the original Ghostbusters?
Yeah.
There was an episode, Train to Oblivion.
I don't remember that one.
But it was about it was about the conductor trying to like reach the other side and everything like that. So he like kidnapped a bunch of people and was like evil conductor
familiar.
and everything.
You ever play Final Fantasy 3, which was actually Final Fantasy 6 in Japan?
No.
You fight a ghost train. Literally, it's a train. Like one of your guys like has a body slam move, and he picks up the whole train and slams. It's awesome. Okay, so
another cool train. Original Transformers movie. Astro Train.
Ooh.
It's a train that sprouts out wings and goes out into space.
Galaxy Express 999. Have I told you about this one? No. Oh. So I watched this back in the day. I was like 4 years old.
Oh, in my day.
In my day. This is like one of the first Japanese animes, arguably ever. And it's one of the famous ones. And the style has inspired many artists throughout the world. But it's about a train that, I should say too, that it got spin-offs. So like Captain Harlock was on Toonami for a while on Cartoon Network. But anyways, it's about a train that flies, like it takes off and goes through space and goes through the solar system and stops by a planet that you can have your body conscience put into a machine and leave your body behind, and then you're a robot. And they take all the bodies and freeze them in Pluto. And so there's a scene where there's just dead bodies layered on top of each other on Pluto. And I'm 4 years old. I'm like, this is amazing. I love trains.
Oh man.
Oh man.
That really explains a lot.
And the lady who takes care of the dead bodies on Pluto like could never get her body perfect because she wanted to be the most beautiful. And so she finally picked a robot that has no face. And so there's this faceless woman who's frozen because she's a robot and cold and wants life and like tries to hug a kid to death. And she's the caretaker of all the dead bodies. Like, this is amazing.
Hashtag trains.
Trains. Hashtag love trains. Wee. Okay.
All right.
So, I have train part 2 now. Howard gets up and he's going to say hello to Summer, and he keeps chanting the mantra, the line, hot in here, must be summer. Hot in here, must be summer. Cheesy line, and he walks right by her, and that made me laugh because she kind of looks at him, and
talks to a couple nuns.
He walks back in, he freaks out and turns and it's like, hi, talking to nuns. I'm like, that's fair. Sheldon proposes a plan to go back, and Leonard mentions Penny can just go in and get it and email it to him. He's like, no, that's not going to work. It's in my room.
A sacred place.
Nobody goes in my room. Although
Penny has been in his room before.
she's been in his room. Leonard went in there earlier this episode.
Maybe unsupervised.
That's fair. Unsupervised. And Leonard says, you're caught between a rock and a crazy place. And Sheldon says, I hate when that happens. I'm giving myself a point here for being like Sheldon, because I often find myself stuck between rocks and crazy places. I think that's fair.
There it is.
There it is. Howard is still building up the nerve when Raj walks by, and this is great. He just steals Howard's line and sits down, and it's such a creepy line too.
It's hot in here. Must be summer.
Must be summer.
No, that's not that cute.
It's not, but she laughs and she goes along with it, which is hilarious too. And then he claims that Slumdog Millionaire was based loosely on his own line.
Yep.
And then Penny is...
He does get a little obnoxious as he drinks.
He does, but she's going along with it. So
and you know what? It's the confidence.
It's the confidence.
I think that's what... Yeah.
Nonchalant, or what's the word? Like, he's just very calm and peaceful. And we see later that he's on his side and kind of playing where Howard's like on her side and posing, right?
Yeah, so, that's where it gets like a little creepy. It's like you don't want to be that close and everything. You just want to create a little bit a healthy distance,
right?
Yeah, it could be healthier.
Healthy? Are we healthy yet? It's hot in here.
It's just you.
Must be Rob. Alright, so Penny's painting her nails and she's going back and forth on the phone because she's talking to somebody and Sheldon calls with instructions to get the thumb drive. And I did an LOL because she says that she's going to be playing Anne Frank.
Yeah.
And a blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl playing Anne Frank is like the antithesis of Anne Frank, right? But I thought that was hilarious. And then she gets back, and I love Sheldon still talking about the steps. And she's like, what?
Like, who is this?
Who is this? And he blows up at her, and Leonard keeps grabbing the phone, saying, hey, it's Leonard, and explaining the situation. Sheldon gets the phone back and starts the instructions again, but Penny keeps kind of putting on hold. And now we're back at Raj, and he's pointing to Venus, and I'm surprised at this because Summer is impressed. And I tell you, every time, I don't know a whole lot about stars, but I've literally pointed Venus out to girls before. Nobody's been impressed. It's kind of like, you spend a lot of time looking at stars, don't you? And I'm like, what?
You big weirdo.
Or like, I'll say, like, you see that? That's Orion in his belt. And they're like, what's wrong with you, Ryan? I'm like, I think it's cool.
I think that's cool.
Right? I don't get it, but she thinks it's cool.
He's crushing it with her at this point.
Yeah. Raj says she must know what it's like because she was in space during Firefly.
Yeah, just making a cute little joke.
Although at first I kind of was wondering, like, was he joking because he says it so
you
seriously?
Were actually in space.
Because you're actually in space. And she's like, you're not one of those guys.
You're one of those people that actually... It makes me wonder how many people actually like that.
Right?
It must happen.
You were in space.
You were actually in space.
And it's... he's like one of those hopeless geeks. They're crazy. And then he asks Howard for another beer. And I have to say that, actually, I made the note before. When he walks in, I noticed the beer he was drinking. It's a Dole's. Dole's? Right?
Oh, okay. You saw the label?
Yeah.
Oh, it was really hard to see.
Yeah. I know my beers. I know my beers. What am I going to say? And O'Doul's is it's a well-known non-alcoholic beer, and it's a fine non-alcoholic beer. But I was like I was kind of wondering if I should notice that, or if it was like a fluke and I kind of ignored it. But it becomes a thing because
a plot point, yeah.
Yeah, Howard does notice it. And
see, this is where I feel like Big Bang Theory doesn't really get a lot of credit. I know a lot of the critics out there really just say like, oh, it's a smutty TV, it's really dumb and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But they actually did, based off this episode, they actually did put a lot of care into the writing of it.
A lot of the small details coming together, and we get the science stuff is accurate, but things adding up and playing out. This is a well-written episode. I like it. So Sheldon's on the phone. He's trying to clarify that inviting her one time into his apartment is not an easement. And she doesn't know what the word means. It's legal access.
Yeah.
And if you ever own property, you will learn all about the term easement. Especially if it's like out in the country and you have to share property or a road with somebody, you start getting into legal easements of they can use the road at this time or for these purposes, or you have an easement to have electricity ran through somebody else's yard to your property, or plumbing, or I hate the word easement. That and was it egress and ingress?
Not familiar.
When you buy property, you have the legal right to have an entrance and exit to it. And I remember the word egress because in Adventure Time, he sees a cave of egress. And somebody says to him, Finn, the main character, is like, that means exit. He's like, okay. But the point is that you can't buy property that is legally set off and unaccessible from public roads.
Oh, okay.
So you have to have legal rights to get in and out. Bunch of shit I don't really want to know about that you're forced to know about at some point in life, I guess.
I don't know if it's that important. I own 3 properties right now, and I'd never.
Someday somebody's like, technically your sidewalk was my property and you're not allowed back in. I'm like, what? This is like egress. Family Guy, where their property is somehow not part of Quahog, right?
That's right.
Like somehow it's
new Quahog.
So Penny puts him back on hold, and Howard comes over complaining about Raj when Leonard points out that it is O'Doul's. It is non-alcoholic. Technically, it is. I don't even think it's called near beer. I think near beer is more like a 3 to 4%er. But non-alcoholic is like 0.5. In fact, I just read about this. That what's her name? Kristen Bell, blonde woman, is letting her kids drink non-alcoholic beer. And
aren't her kids pretty young?
I'm like, it doesn't matter because non-alcoholic beer is like 0.5%, and people are like, well, that's still alcohol. It has as much, if not less, than like a ripe banana. A ripe banana will have 0.5% alcohol.
Really?
Apple juice, apparently I read this, apple juice is legally able to have 0.5% alcohol. Fruit ferments as we let it age.
Yeah.
That's part of how alcohol is made. It's just natural.
So I'm not on a sugar high. I'm actually just drunk.
You're drunk. You ate too many bananas, Rob.
Yep. I need my potassium, though.
Potassium.
This is how I party. Party with potassium.
I also have to go to the bathroom. But yeah, so, part of it is that her husband has reportedly had
he was
substance abuse issues. But I'm like, if you're told not to drink non-alcoholic beer, I have a big thing about kids being told not to drink at all, that it builds this stigma up, and when they do reach 21, it becomes a big deal that they can't handle.
I definitely, on that note, shout out to my dad right now, because I feel like my parents, I don't know if he had anything to do with this, but I feel like they actually approached alcohol to me in a very good way, where I was young and I just I was curious about it. So they just let me try it at such an early age that I hated it so much that I never drank underage. That's a lie.
That's a lie. Or is it?
I mean, Dad, I never did that.
I remember,
but I pushed it off. I never drank in high school. Even in my first year of college, it was a long time until I even bothered doing it because it was like I had no interest because like it tasted so bad that I had that association. I tried a sip of beer, I tried a sip of wine, and my mom is a whiskey drinker, so I didn't even try. I just sniffed it. I was like, nope.
It took decades to develop the problem I have now. It's a lot of work. I hated this taste.
Years later, now, and I wouldn't call it a problem.
My parents were fine with me drinking, and I felt weird about it. I think it was more like my Sheldon-ness, that it's like, oh, this is wrong. I can't do it. But I remember like having a party. It's like, can we all have a beer? And my dad's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, we can't do that.
No. That's inappropriate.
Yeah.
I will take those bagel bites, though.
Yeah. Some Rice Krispie and fruit by the foots, please. And my dad's like, yeah, if you do it, I don't go anywhere.
Yeah, I do remember one of the cooler parties in college that I went to. It was, I don't think you ever met her.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Okay, well, we hung out. Like, I'll bleep that out. It was really cool because like we were all like 20 or something like that. But like it was her birthday. It was at her parents' house, and none of us realized that her parents were there. But as soon as we got there, she's like, "We'll take your keys now."
Like, what?
Yeah, and we're gonna check you before you leave. So before we left, they actually like checked us and everything like that. They didn't have like a breathalyzer, but you can tell.
Yeah,
and everything like that. It's like, okay, if you're gonna drink, you're all gonna hang out in the basement, and you're turning over your keys.
It's my parents did that Y2K. My sister had a party. I think it's the first time I actually had a hangover. Because we went out to eat, and my dad let me have some wine and champagne with dinner. It was Y2K. And came home. My sister had a party and some friends over from college, and they had it wasn't a keg, it was like a beer bubble. It was like a bubble that you pumped,
and then so it's kind of like a mini keg.
It was like a mini keg, yeah. And you put it on ice and it chilled it. And I remember trying to play beer pong, and also partially at that time I couldn't burp. Like I don't know if my body wasn't used to it, and so like buildup of carbonation from beer would hurt horrifically, and so it made me sick because I was like, I was bad at beer pong.
I'm really terrible.
And that was back in the days where you drank what it went into. Like it was. And my parents were like, we can do this, but everybody is staying the night.
Yeah,
and they did. In fact, I'm in an argument with my parents because they're like, there was a piano down in the basement. I'm like, I lived in that basement for like 6-7 years. There was no piano down there. And
I remember you telling me.
Right? And the big thing was, I remember on Y2K, people slept on the floor where that piano was supposed to be. I'm like, tell me, how could a person's body be physically where that piano was? But yeah, I think that's fine because it helps build a healthy relationship with alcohol. Not like, you cannot drink this, but on your 21st birthday, do whatever the fuck you want.
That's kind of a weird concept.
Yeah. I think I mentioned that Penn State, they like made it so that you couldn't drink on your 21st birthday.
Oh, yeah?
Because too many people were going in and ordering 21 shots.
Oh, my God.
We're like, we're done dealing with people like killing themselves on their 21st birthday. So, yeah, that's...
Yeah, I can't even imagine binge drinking anymore like what we used to. It's like, now I definitely just like enjoy just like a glass of scotch or a martini and stuff like that. Just get like a nice healthy buzz, just unwind. But the concept of like binging and then having like that hangover is like so nightmarish.
Shots. Yeah, and I can still do like an all-nighter, but I have to pace myself, and I can still wake up with a headache. But I can't chug beers. I can't do multiple shots in a row. One shot. That's I'm old.
Well, for this trip, I definitely packed a bunch of those liquid IVs.
Oh, nice.
Definitely having one later.
That's I have they're nuns. I think they're called.
Oh yeah, the little tablets.
Yeah, I have a bunch of those.
I did that too, but then they got a little pricey. So that I just started buying the liquid IV at Costco.
I thought, is that cheaper? Because I was thinking the nuns were cheaper.
I have not done a price.
We should check into this because I think the liquid IVs actually are supposed to be better.
Whoa! Costco's selling something more expensive? How dare you?
They're gonna get me. I'm sorry, Costco. I love you.
I love Kirkland brand.
Kirkland. That's the Notebook. No, this is Amazon. Actually, with that said, I'm not gonna get another Amazon Notebook. This is like cheesy. It's like flimsy.
Oh.
Yeah,
well, it's almost filled up, so we're going next.
Yeah. My dad gave me that one. He's like, I'm going to throw this away. I'm like, I could use that.
That looks way sturdier.
Yeah. Well, I don't know where the hell he got it, but
from the Dark Tower.
The Dark Tower.
All right, we deviated.
I'm sorry. Some of that's going to be cut, but whatever. So Raj points to Venus, and we're back at Sheldon gives her the right to one invite. This is not an easement. She puts him on hold. Howard comes by complaining about Raj. They point out the adult's non-alcoholic, and they mention it must be placebo effect. And Sheldon starts giving more instructions while Howard goes over to Raj, who's still making jokes about constellations. And Howard points out the beer, and he says, "Here you go." And he's like, "What's this?" And he goes, "I don't know, you tell me." And finally clicks that it's a fake beer, and Raj starts to stammer and runs off.
Mm-hmm.
Howard sits down in his place and says he's the good thing that comes in, or the small package good things come in.
The look on Summer's face just says it all.
I like that line, though. I personally, if a girl came up to me and said,
I'm the small package good things come in,
I'd be like, I want to talk to you.
That's so sexual.
Right? Oh, God!
Technically, a guy can say that, too.
Wow, yeah. Rob, what's wrong with you?
Did your mind not go there?
It should have. I don't know why I didn't. It's coming. I bet they do.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Okay. So,
my mind is always in the gutter.
Mine tries to be, but man, I wasn't thinking of it that way. I was thinking more like a dick in the box type thing. Like,
yeah.
Penny and Sheldon are still on the phone, and Penny has the wrong box. Apparently, it has letters from his grandma, who calls him Moon Pie. This is just for the chaos of this episode to get into. She calls you Moon Pie. Put down those letters, he says. Leonard takes the phone and says, like, you have the wrong box, you're bothering him. And she's like, okay, puts Sheldon back on the phone, immediately goes, "What's up, Moon Pie?" I love that line.
Yeah.
Instantly, Leonard takes it back, says, nope. Howard and Summer are still talking, and he's telling her about a dream where he's ice skating and twirling her around until her legs tear off, and then she turns into Pumpernickel. And I get a point for being like Howard here because I saw
Love Pumpernickel?
Yes.
Well, yeah.
I overshare, and I saw a line on Facebook, a meme saying that if you overshare and you're afraid that might ruin how mysterious you are, it doesn't, because people are still wondering, why the hell would you share that?
So it's still a mystery.
It's still a mystery. But 1 point for being like Howard. 17.
Well, while you're typing that up, I actually did an IQ point on this.
Yes, IQ point.
So we kind of talked about the Pumpernickel earlier, that we both did an IQ point on that.
Yeah.
But I also tried to interpret the dream.
Oh.
Because what does that mean? We were ice skating, I was flailing you around, and then you ripped apart and everything like that. So I kind of did a little, granted, like I did some, it was research for fun, because let's be honest, like I don't believe that dreams mean anything. I don't know how you feel about that, but to me, it's more about what's on your mind.
Yeah, I think it's our brain trying to work through problems. And
yes.
they can mean things in the terms of how is our mind handling problems, but it's not like I don't think it's like a religious significance or anything.
No, I definitely don't think that. And yeah, same thing. But I thought it's kind of like horoscopes. I think it's kind of just fun.
Yeah, I think
to think about. Yeah. So I looked into journeyintodreams.com and antiflow.com. So ice skating itself could have many different meanings depending on the dreamer. So you could have a positive or a negative association to it, depending on the dreamer. But then it also depends on, there are so many other questions that, okay, you're ice skating, but what else is in the environment? That will dictate what this interpretation is.
Yeah.
So if you're skating on thin ice, it means take extra care to not take unnecessary risks. Think before you act. If you're losing balance on the ice, that could mean that there's some sort of uncertainty in your life and you're trying to find balance. If you fall down on the ice, it means you're struggling to reach your goals, or you may be struggling to really enjoy a benefit from something. If you fall through the ice, you're possibly not fully prepared for something. Or if you're injured on the ice, this could mean you're not taking care of yourself. Or if you're injuring somebody else on the ice, it means that you're worried about someone. You may feel insecure that you are doing enough to keep that person safe, or you may wish that they would do something different to avoid problems in their life. So maybe he's just concerned with summer. And then there was actually like 20 more scenarios, and I just didn't
with ice.
All related to ice.
Course.
I was like, dang, this is getting too long. But then I looked into like the generalization of dreaming about ice, and the ice represents confidence, faith, fearlessness, positive changes, new pathways, caution, awareness, and discretion.
That makes sense. I mean, ice is fragile, so it's be careful where you're walking, and you have to have some faith that it's going to hold out for you.
Yeah. So maybe he's dreaming that he knew he was going to meet Summer, and he should approach cautiously.
But he rips her legs off.
So he's really worried.
Because he's going to fuck it up.
Yep. He knows he's going to fuck it up.
There we go.
And then I looked into the whole Pumpernickel. Yep. That it's loosely translated to fart goblin. I was like, dude, that's gotta be made up. Like, that's what I thought watching this. I was like, dude, that can't be true.
It was so weird that I'm like, that's true, but there's got to be something more behind it. But
yep. Well, IQ point: is this true? Well, I looked into dreaming about Pumpernickel and
or fart goblins.
Well, according to Antiflow and angelnumber.org, dreaming of bread is a great thing. It symbolizes health and wealth. Because, it means like kind of plentifulness and everything like that. So
bread. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. So now we go into the fart goblin of it all. So, the first thing I went to is Google Translator. I went from the English to German translation. I typed in Pumpernickel to see what it said. And the translation that came out was, I translated fart goblin.
Oh,
it was Furzkobold. So fart goblin does, I was really hoping it would just pump out Pumpernickel. I was really hoping that it would say that, but it did not. So at this point, I kind of had my questions of this was actually true or not. So I went to Wikipedia, kitchenproject.com, and Snopes.com to learn that Howard is correct on the translation. So to an extent, it does translate to fart goblin.
This is a great example of how translation is an art form. And depending on how you translate it and how you see the words and the context of the words, you get something different, right? But like you said, fart goblin.
Yeah. So the word nickel goes way back from the name Nicholas, which was a grand name meaning victory people. However, somewhere down the line, the term Old Nick became a name for a little devil, goblin, or a bad spirit. The German word for pumper can at best be nicely put means flatulence. So put the two words together, you get farting devil or devil's fart or goblin or something. So then it's kind of like, well, why? Why did this happen? Like, why would you name it that? So I looked into the origins of Pumpernickel. Did you too?
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. So I'm gonna let you have that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because well, you have the food stuff.
I'll take the food. I will take the food stuff. So the true origins of the name of Pumpernickel are somewhat clouded. All sites agree that there is no definitive answer to why this is. Some bring it back to Old Bavarian term for hard, either referring to the process used to grind the grain into flour or the density of the final product. Others say it begins with pump for the sound it makes when it's struck. Like it's so hard that they kind of hit it. It was like no. Yeah.
Yeah.
However, the most likely that I found is because of how hard the bread is to digest.
That's what, I was getting to, is the digestive stuff.
Since traditionally, this bread is 100% rye flour. Yep, so it's harder to digest, which would result into a lot of farting. Calling it a devil's fart is a reference to what happens to those who consume it. But I did find this. The original creators of the bread, the Westphalians, which is a region of northwestern Germany, called it Schwarzbrot, or black bread. Most likely named when it was used for army rations, and it just wasn't the best quality, especially because it was made with a coarse cut grain. So they kind of just called it, basically they were calling it shit, pretty much. But you know what? It was what they had.
Yeah. Yeah, some bread's better than none, right?
Yeah, especially during that time, during war times when you just need food. It's like, you know what? We got this bread. It's going to make you gassy. Really rock hard, but you know what? Whatever.
Have fun in the trenches, brothers.
Yep. Got my trench coat and my epaulet.
This is also how gassing started in military usage.
Chemical warfare started with Pumpernickel. Well, that's all I had. Did you have anything to add to it? Or?
Wanted to add that, I think the big question is, how did old Nicholas get turned into demon or devil? And
I know we still sing like jolly old Saint Nicholas, so
right?
It's like we're celebrating the devil at that point.
Yeah, and my thought is that maybe Nicholas was a very common name, and if we can say something like view it how we see the word name Karen, that you're being a Karen, and then being like, oh, you're being an old Nick.
Oh, somewhere down the line, it's kind of just like they just got to
associate it. Or don't be a Scrooge type thing, right?
Don't be a Nick.
That's my guess from what I understand, because what I saw is that they would say, oh, you're a farting Nick. That's more like not necessarily devil, but like you're old Nick. But I could be wrong. There might be some other correlation between Nick and devil or demon. But that, I'm curious if anybody has information on that. I'm really curious.
Yeah, I would really appreciate some more information.
Okay, so that's that. Penny has the box now, and Sheldon starts giving her very difficult instructions to open this puzzle box, and I love her reaction. Do you have sentimental value to this? No? Smashes it open.
I heard the click.
I heard the click. Howard...
And the look of success on Sheldon's face is like, I'm training this chimp.
I heard the click. What? Howard asks if... he mentions that if Summer were to marry Johnny Winter, her name would be Summer Winter.
At this point, I will say that Summer Glau is a class act. Like, she's like handling it very well.
I love it. Even her, if this were real, somebody handling that's much far and above, too nice. But too nice. her on the show as an actress she did a good job. You could see in her eyes like, get away, get away.
You don't say.
You don't say. Like through her teeth. You don't say. I have a note. She looks like she's in pain. He says she likes her and wonders if there's any way this conversation could end with a date. She says, no. And he says, okay, I'll leave you in peace. But he wants to get a selfie for Facebook.
Yeah.
And he does that and then like immediately goes in, for the
For
hug.
the hug, a little too close.
And then he's like, could we do one of us like making out? Like it looks like we're making out. And then Sheldon's back on the phone, explaining how to use the flash drive. And I like she stops him and he goes,
that in order for me to do this work, you need to answer some questions.
Exactly. She holds him accountable.
Yeah.
And he goes, she calls me moon pie because I'm nummy and she could just eat me up.
That's so cute. I can't wait till I'm a grandparent.
I love it too because for some reason, like if it was anybody else, Sheldon would be like, what are you talking about? But it's his grandma, so in his brain, it makes sense, and it's okay. I'm nummy, and she could eat me up.
I feel like when you're a kid, like even my parents have certain like terms of endearment and nicknames for me that only I let them call me. Anybody else, I will shut that shit down so fast. It's like, no, don't call me that. This is not even joking. Don't call me that.
I have a nickname my dad gives me. I'm not going to tell anybody online, but
I'll bleep it out.
It's not really.
I'm not going to bleep it out.
It's not too hard to figure out, but for some reason,
is it just Ryan?
It's Ryan.
It's just Ryan. Hello, Ryan. Hello, son.
My dad calls me it. My ex-wife called me it. And my real estate agent heard my dad call me it, and so she called me it. And my dad and I looked at each other like, what the fuck?
What did you do?
You crossed the line today, lady. It was weird.
Did she just think that was like what you go by?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think she made an assumption. And
yeah.
It was like...
Because sometimes you don't know how like other people want to be addressed, so you kind of just listen for like, the cues and everything. Like, and it's funny because like there's some people at work I had to straight up ask. It's like, dude, what do you want me to call you? Because it's a guy named... He always referred to himself as Kenny to me. But then I've heard other people call him Kenneth, and the other people are calling him Ken. And I'm just like, whoa, what do you want to... Like, I want to make sure I'm calling you what you want to be called. So, like, what do you want me to call you?
Donatello.
What? It's actually Jimbo.
It's Jimbo. Everybody just makes fun of me. They don't call me Jimbo. Yeah. So he says the USB port is the one that looks like a duck's mouth. And then Howard returns and says the Terminator broke his phone, which he deserved. Good for her. And then Raj looks at him sad, just like they both fucked up.
No, it was a little bit of a smug smile, like, that's what you get. You ruined my chance by telling me about the beer. So.
We're both in the same hole.
He had a little sick pleasure on that, which I would too. Like, dude, you dicked me over.
He stole Howard's line.
But he did... Not that women are property or anything like that, but like in guy... Even guy code, it's a little convoluted.
Lines are property, and he's still property.
Okay, the line is okay for sure, but it's kind of like he did have first crack at her. But again, women are not property. You don't really like treat them like that. But at the same time, it's like either way, it's like none of you had a chance.
Well, Leonard might have, and that's what we get. He goes up there, and after all of this, because he's been too terrified because he can't even score with the blonde at home, he's a failure. He goes up and starts saying that he was trying to think of a line, but he realizes she's a human and he's a human, and he could just say, and the conductor says, here we are at, where are they saying?
I didn't write that down. Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara. There we go. Santa Barbara. And she's like, oh, this is my stop. And she gets up and leaves.
Gone.
And by himself, he goes, hi, my name's Leonard.
You know what? At least he went for it.
He that's a good start. Yeah. Good for him. And then we have the closing scene. Sheldon is with Smoot. He is the real guy, and he guest starred, I guess. Which, great for him. And I love this because as logical and sensible as Sheldon is, he's also very, very And he pretends that it's logical, but he's
It was all that's some
egomaniacal.
Well, that's some sibling bullshit there too. It's like, oh, of course it's alphabetical.
Yeah, it's alphabetical.
It's kind of like like
the Cooper Smoot.
Yeah,
C comes before S.
obviously.
And then when he says, when they win the Nobel Prize, Smoot will be back on top. Smoot goes, are you on crack? And Sheldon says,
Fine. Smoot Cooper.
Smoot Cooper. What a diva. And that's the end.
We did it. That was the Terminator Decoupling.
That was a good episode. I like that one.
Very good one. So let's count some IQ points.
Let's count some Sheldon points.
We have 5 IQ points.
Nice. That's solid. Oh, shit. 62 to 62.
Neck and neck.
That's partially because I gave 2 points for the Wii, but if I'm going to give 2 points to something,
That was it.
that's it, yeah.
Well, we did it. Any last minute thoughts on this episode? This was a really good one.
I like this one. This is as good as a holiday episode to me.
Yeah.
I love holiday episodes. I love traveling episodes. It's special and guest starring 2 guest stars, Smoot and Summer.
Yeah.
So it was a great episode.
Great episode. Well, thanks for listening and watching, everyone. Remember to leave us a review on Apple. 5 stars, enter in that drawing. Follow us on Instagram. Check out our old list of IQ points. Listen to old episodes. Working on that TikTok.
We'll figure it out. Rob will figure it out.
And like we said last time, we're going to have a special episode where we will be watching Season 2, Episode 18 together, and we will be Mystery Science Theatering it up. So something new. Let us know how you like it, and we're going to crack open that bottle of sherry.
Yes, we are.
Yep. We'll see you next time when we talk Season 2, Episode 18, the work song Nano Thought.
See you soon.
This was Theoretical Nonsense, the Big Bang Theory watch-along podcast. No PhD required. Our intro and outro music is by Alex Squirrel. Thanks for listening. What? You forgot your flash drive. You forgot your flash drive.